Im heutigen Beitrag gehen wir in die zweite von insgesamt wahrscheinlich jetzt 3 Runden Interviews mit Viainvest-Mitarbeitern. Heute geht es um weitere wichtige Themen, die ihr mir im Vorfeld mitgegeben habt, und wir sprechen noch einmal über die Vergangenheit. Das Management erzählte mir, wieso der Buyback-Button 2022 einfach verschwunden ist, was ein sehr emotionales Thema für viele Investoren war. Und das zu Recht, denn man hat seitens Viainvest die Anleger doch damals ziemlich im Ungewissen gelassen. Weiterhin sprechen wir über den legendären Geschäftsbericht der Gruppe von 2021, bei dem aus einem ungeprüften Gewinn in Millionenhöhe ein geprüfter Verlust in Millionenhöhe wurde. Daneben geht es auch wieder noch um einige weitere Themen. Wir sprechen auch nochmal über die IT. Die genaue Übersicht dazu findet ihr in den Timestamps. Und nun viel Spaß.
There was a comment that your servers are from the Middle Age, and you promised to solve this, but it's not solved right now. So your website is quite slow compared to others. And so what is the actual status there? Or is there some process or plans?
Basically, the reason is it would be very easy if problem would be only with servers. It would be extremely easy. Just invest a bit more and that's solved. Unfortunately, the reason is a bit different.
It's the code?
It's about the old system which we're using. Currently, we do not have any calculations there. So everything what is related to calculations for financial instruments are implemented in different system. So we have developed a few totally separate new services which are working much better than our previous system. And yeah, it was historically when we were about to launch Viainvest at the very beginning, so many years ago already. So we were making decision on which system should be picked as a solution. And we had different options, and this was, let's say, not only IT decision to say like, oh, this one is good, we will be using this. So we had different options. All other options which we had would cost a bit more. No, not a bit, just more. Or another thing was about going live terms. So we have picked the solution which was not that technically good.
But the cheap one?
Or
the cheaper one?
Fast one. So it was really fast to modify it and to go live. Yeah, that was, let's say, a business decision. We were all writing down our pros and cons for all the options we had. And that was decision for our management to pick the option we're going with.
But today you pay the bill a little bit.
Yeah. Yes, unfortunately, yes. And it is a bit hard to explain about some consequences. Like, let's say, 6 years ago, to say something like, let's not take this solution because in 5 years we will have some problems. This is quite hard to make business think about some technical problems which will be after a long time. Yeah, and also it sounds like okay, we have a long time to do something with that, but yeah, there are some technical constraints with which you can do nothing.
But there's another feature you erased or deleted from the platform, is this buyback function from the credit lines. Also, during this transition in the regulation, why this buyback button disappeared from one day to another?
So let's split the question. We had initiated buyback for sessions. We had guaranteed buyback for everything that was published. And we had also early exit option for business loans, which in a kind of way was had an interpretation as a buyback. as well. And if you're talking about early exit on business loans, it's still in force.
It's still there, okay.
And we have, if you're talking about business loans, so we have 2 loans on Vietnam, 1 Vietnamese loan and 1 Philippines. And there were 3 batches on Vietnamese loan. 1 batch was repaid, and 2 batches were prolonged. And the Vietnamese loans are going to be repaid until the February of the next year. It's kind of I don't remember, October and January or something like that. And it's about Philippines. 2 batches from 4 are already prolonged, and this 3rd and 4th, I don't remember exactly the dates, so we do not have information from the group yet if the group is going to repay or prolong it, because normally we are intermediary here between loan originator and investors, and we get the information about the agreement, if it is going to be prolonged or we will get the money and repay to investors. And earlier exit is working there, and we also monitor the cash flow, so we see that sometimes investors
Do request them.
do requests, but normally it's a very, very small amount, because I think that everyone's happy on that, and everything is okay. Then about guaranteed buyback, it's still in force. It's we continue it also with financial instruments. It's the same as for sessions, the same is for financial instruments. So that means that if borrower is not paying, loan originator will pay on borrower side. And I think that it's a huge benefit, because, and maybe not everyone understands that, because in our case, I would say that the investor has no risk to get losses.
And the risks are comparable to like corporate bonds, because like ultimate risk is on the side of loan originator, the company. So we can say it like that.
Yeah, but sometimes I see that our interest rate is investors are trying to compare it with some other platforms.
Of course, yeah.
When the risk is high and the interest is high, and it's not correct. Because on that platforms you can lose your money because there is no guaranteed buyback, but on our platform you will get your money back.
If the guarantee works.
If the loan originator will pay.
Yeah.
Okay, but fortunately.
So yeah, that's the risk level of the corporate obligations. So yeah.
Yeah. So as about initiated buyback, we got a huge legal investigation on that.
Ah, okay.
Before the transition and afterwards, when we started to get complaints from investors. And the legal opinion was that it was not mandatory, and I was not from the beginning, so from beginning of Viainvest. I understand that this initiated buyback was created as a goodwill for investors which wanted to quit because Viainvest had no secondary market. And most probably secondary market was promised, but it was never implemented. We analyzed also before the transition how many investors had used this feature of the product.
Probably not that much, right?
There was a kind of few.
Yeah.
And for our opinion, it was not crucial there because everyone was happy. It seems it looked for us that everyone was happy what is going on. And as you see, legal background was that it was not mandatory, it was not a part of the agreement, and we didn't see the a huge demand for this service. We switched it, and it was also why we investigated that, because on regulated platform, this initiated buyback is legally as a secondary market.
Mm-hmm.
And we were not allowed, and we are still not allowed to start to open secondary market for our investments. So we had a kind of a constraint there. And therefore, it was a management decision that we will switch this feature off. Actually, we had no choice,
Mm-hmm.
and we switched it off. The mistake was there that we communicated later than we switched it off.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And the problem was also that this initial buyback was in conflict with the credit lines, because from the investor's view, these credit line loans could run forever. And they didn't.
But it is not.
No.
You see it.
Yeah. Today I see, but when you just deleted this button, investors thought, okay, now the money is stuck forever. And with this buyback, initial buyback, they had the opportunity to just give the loans back to you, and you just deleted it.
We switched it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I said, we had a mistake in communication. And I know that we prepared the text to be sent, letter to be sent to investors, but for some reasons it was crazy time for us, for all the team. For some reasons it was not sent before we switched off. And as I said, we asked our regulator for prolongation, and we actually planned that this transition period will be prolonged. And most probably that was the issue why we didn't send it exactly before the date it was switched off, or some weeks before.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, yeah, when we look back, we always think
we-
what have been done better. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that we are learning from our mistakes, and that also is our position here. So when we finish a kind of a project, we sit down and discuss what we should do better, and how to avoid these mistakes in the future.
Yeah.
So
There was a nice comment from an investor. Let's say you don't know about all this background about regulation and so on, and he asked how serious the people at Viainvest would consider a platform that without warning and overnight suddenly has something like payments in process, or quietly simply takes out the possibility of selling credit lines. So would you invest on such a platform which is doing some things like that, if you have a lot of alternatives in maybe unregulated market, but also as well regulated markets? So what would you think about your own investment if you would have your investment on Viainvest, and the platform said, okay, now your money is stuck and you don't know anything as an investor?
here, of course, communication could suit very well.
Yeah.
So it's.
I think this is the key, yeah.
It's a key, yeah. It's a key here, and for me, I don't think it could be a crucial thing here, because for me there are some other features, some other characteristics which I would like to take into account when evaluating which platform I would like to invest. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're an existing investor, you would probably look at your track record with the platform. If you have been long-term investor and for years it was working well for you, so maybe this mistake will not be so crucial for you. But if you are a new investor and you see and read some negative comments,
That's a problem, yeah.
That could be a problem.
I think for me,
of course, yeah, as Tatiana said, it could have been done better, especially communication-wise.
I think for me it was also not a big problem, because I'm invested long-term, but a lot of investors see it as not a long-term investment, but they see, okay, I'm invest in loans that are running maybe 2 years and I get the money back in 2 years. But after all these changes, they couldn't count on that. And this was, I think, the biggest problem for a lot of investors, that they cannot count, okay, I will get back my money in 2 years or next year.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. If you're talking about the term of investment, it's a really interesting topic, because I was surprised about the comments about the term of investment, because what we see from the user experience or the statistics we have, that we have really long-term investors who invest with us for 3 years or more.
Mhm.
And of course, our credit lines will not run forever, and we will do our best to close all the sessions, all the agreements we have, all the agreements as fast as it could be, but ensuring also liquidity and cash flow for our loan originators for business continuity,
Mhm.
because that's the main our business, and the income comes there. And when people said that they are not ready to invest, and the term could be for years, but really we have very few investors who invest for 1 month or 3 or even 6 months.
Mhm.
I don't know if it is about the P2P lending itself, because maybe in crypto markets they try, they lose, and they go away. But in P2P lending, and our experience shows that we have a long-term relationship with our investors. Therefore, I really appreciate loyalty of our customers.
If I watch other platforms, I can see that the short-term loans are the most popular. For example, on Peerberry, they are gone in seconds. These 30-day loans or something like this. So the people don't want to bound their money for a long time on P2P platforms. Because
especially if they can get the same
Exactly.
interest rate, the shorter term means less risk for them and less commitment.
Exactly.
So that's understandable, of course.
So there are a lot of alternatives, unfortunately. But coming back to the credit lines, so you are buying them back right now. Is there a date already when you will close this chapter forever with the credit lines?
As of today, about 80% of our portfolio are asset-backed securities that were launched a year ago. So at this pace, I think we're pretty confident that all the credit lines and other types of consumer loans will be repaid by the end of this year. So this is also in our interest. We don't want to focus on the old product. We just want to keep our focus on the new one. So we are completely in the same boat with the investors here. So our interests fully align. So yes, there is it's not long to wait. So till it's completely closed. Yeah.
But just technically to understand, the credit lines are running further, right? So you just take it under your own management. So you take it back from the accounts from the investors, but the credit lines could be run further, right?
You mean the borrower agreements with the
exactly.
loan originators? Yes, of course. And if they decide to, they can refinance them using the asset-backed securities as well.
So for you, it's also, you have to further manage all these loans internally then.
You mean it's on the loan originator side?
Yes.
Yeah, they have
Yes,
to
of
manage
course,
it.
but this is not related to Viainvest business. So
Yeah.
we will be managing the asset-backed security product.
But just to understand, they are still there, but not on the balance sheets from the investors.
That doesn't mean that something changes in the borrower's agreement when it's repaid on Viainvest, because it's their business and it's not related to what investors have invested. Yeah.
What, in your opinion, how important is Poland for the VIA SMS Group?
I think top 3. Top 3, apart from Latvia. We have almost 40 million citizens, and this is a large market.
Maybe just for to be curious, what is between Latvia and Poland? What is this?
What is what?
Between Latvia, the top 1 country, and then you said Poland is
Poland. Then there is Poland, and I think it will be Asia. In Asia.
Okay, so the Philippines.
Philippines. Right? Or Vietnam. That depends.
But I think Vietnam is not on a platform. So.
I think so.
Yes. Yeah. So let's come to the loans. How you issue the loans? Is this an offline business in Poland?
No, we are working strictly online. Our risk models are solely prepared to serve customers online. And this is like the most popular way in Poland in order to serve customers. Also, it's cost efficient.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because I saw so many loan originators, and it's always surprising how different they are. So some of them were completely offline, like Barks, for example, in Armenia. Yes. They are not in service anymore, but others in Jakarta, they made it also completely online. So that means the customer is coming to the website and just request a loan, and then you make all these proofs, or request all the proofs.
Yes.
And how long does it take? So to get the money?
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Occasionally it happens that there are some difficulties, but it's like extremely rarely. So within 3 minutes, if you know how to type well, then
awesome. Yeah, to get money in 3 minutes.
It's very fast.
Yeah. And how long would it take with a Polish bank?
Significantly longer.
Yeah,
it is.
But it depends on the amount. So what the amount, the average amount from your loans is?
Our average amount is between 1,700, 300 euro, 400 euro. That's actually with the current exchange, it will be 400, 450.
And I read now very often in the community that sometimes, or some investors are complaining that nobody's answering from Viainvest. What happened there? So I read it very often.
So we sometimes we have a technical issue, and recently we recognized the problem that some of our customers doesn't receive any emails from us, and probably we do not receive emails from them. But right now it's fixed, and we will try to to be faster. But anyway, if we are not answering to, for example, to info or to support folder, it's good to give us a short message in the chat, just us to double check and to answer.
So you have two different channels here. You have your support email or your telephone, but they can also write you in the live chat. So
yes, exactly.
If someone is not answering, then they can get sure that everything was received and can go.
Yes, exactly. But we are asking our customers not to write very sensitive questions like to support chat, because we have to identify our customers. So it's better to write to support or to info. But in case, of course, general questions could be answered in a chat as well.
Tatiana, there were a lot of discussions about this report from 2021. There was an unaudited version. It was in profit, and I think a lot profit, I think 2 million, something like this. And then the audited one shows a loss, I think also around 2 million. Why there's such a difference between two reports, and what does it mean for the trustworthiness of the unaudited reports you publish on Via SMS as well on the website in the investors relations?
Yeah, so let's split here, or let's go into the details, because your question is about the Via SMS Group.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not about Viainvest.
Yeah.
Viainvest is a part of Via SMS Group, but the annual report is about the group. And in Via SMS Group, I'm not sure how many companies we have inside the group, but there are a lot of companies, and also the group is developing some companies and investing money in other companies and subsidiaries, and it is a normal situation. If you are in the beginning of your development, there could be some losses. But as we are talking about 2021 annual report, unaudited, of course, it is not a kind of a normal situation here. What we see, and it was not, as you understand, it was not what we have expected also, I mean, in the management. And the difference in the report, if you can open both of them and make a comparison, you can see that we expected that we'll have a profit, and now shareholders deducted some dividends from the company.
Yeah, I saw it.
It's kind of not a secret.
Yeah.
You can see it from our financial report. But later on, when audited, so just to be sure that everyone understands it, when you have VIA SMS Group audited report, to get it, you need to audit every company which is inside the group.
Yeah.
So every company which is inside the group, and there are a couple, I think that a couple of them, there are more than 10, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Every company was audited, and for one company, the results were changed by the auditors. They asked us to create a provision for, it was a loan originator, I think it was about Poland. They asked us to create a provision on on one deal which was closed a year ago. But this previous year was already audited, and it's a kind of was also not a standard situation when auditors ask you to create a provision on the deal which was already audited.
So you shifted it in another year.
Yeah, and we were forced to shift it in another year, and then we some losses appeared.
Mm-hmm.
And as the audit was took quite long, and it's normally for big structures, for companies like us with different jurisdictions, different accounting policies and so on, and it could take such a long time. We got these results which for the group are negative. But for Viainvest, 2021 was with, we have some minor losses there. I would say that we are close to zero, but for 2022, we have already also audited annual report, which is submitted also to regulator, and every company which is regulated has to submit it before the 1st April every year. It's also published on our webpage, but unfortunately it's not translated into English yet.
If you know Latvian, please go ahead and review it. Yeah.
You're speaking now about the audited report from the group?
Audited for Viainvest.
For Viainvest.
For
As
last
a company.
year. Viainvest is a separate company.
Mm-hmm.
And also, just for you to know that according to the law, auditors also compare segregated customer account with the accounting data. And they create a specific report on that, which also, according to the law, should be submitted to regulator.
Mm.
And that also was done and submitted to regulator in time. We do not need to publish it. It's a kind of, I don't know, confidential maybe information, but it's a kind of standard process for every regulated company. So it's also done and submitted, and report is published. And we will try to do our best to finish English version as well and to publish it. But it's a kind of a surprise for me that no one wants to see actually a Viainvest report as a platform, but everyone wants to see group report. But again, only 5 companies from the group are on the platform. Only 5. And also each loan originator, which loans are published on Viainvest, they have also their annual reports published on Viainvest. Because as we started with the risks on investors, and I would say that the most crucial information on investor side is also on loan originator, could be found in loan originator annual report, if any. And these financial statements on every loan originators are not very popular among the investors in Viainvest, but everyone is looking for VIA SMS Group report.
Yeah, because this is the mother company, so if the group is healthy, then it's good for the investors. So they don't want to see the small Viainvest platform, so they want to see the group.
Yes and no, because as I said, if you have, let's say, 10 companies in the group, 5 are published on Viainvest, and loan originators primarily is responsible for his liabilities to investors, then that is the first point where to see. Because if there would be some problems with loan originators, then the group could come. But primarily, and also, let's say, about the same panic payments, it's on loan originator side.
But they're also published on the investor relations site from the VIA SMS Group?
No, they are on Viainvest site. We are publishing it in each prospectus. You can find the link.
So every investor can see it.
In the prospectus, they never read.
But probably they should.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good hint, yeah. I think they're not aware of this.
Yeah, because there is lots of interesting information there.
Yeah.
That's where they invest their money. The loan originator business is described there, the performance. So the process, how money flow is happening with all the investments.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I saw it.
we invite our investors to read their prospectuses.
But coming back to the group, so right now the unaudited report for the group for 2022 is already on the website. I saw it yesterday. I think.
Yeah, it should be. But the audit is
not
it's
yet.
not finished.
Yeah.
I think the deadline is in the end of this month. But I know that it's not finished because some other subsidiaries are still in process.
Okay. But can we expect there the same gap between the results from the unaudited one to the
Lars,
audited one?
I think it's a joke. No.
Okay, so this time it looks better, yeah?
I believe so.